Once upon a time, there was a wealthy merchant known for his wisdom and honesty. One day, he set out on a long journey across the desert to conduct his business, carrying goods and merchandise to trade in distant lands. After traveling a great distance under the scorching sun, he grew tired and thirsty. He looked around for a place to rest and found a large tree near a spring of water. Grateful, he sat beneath its shade and took out some dates from his bag to eat. As he ate, he casually threw the date pits away, not paying attention to where they landed. When he finished his meal and was about to continue his journey, he suddenly heard a thunderous voice shaking the ground beneath him. To his shock, a mighty genie appeared out of nowhere, his eyes glowing like fire. The genie, towering and fearsome, glared at the merchant with rage. "You," the genie roared, "you have killed my son." The merchant, bewildered and terrified, fell to his knees. "What are you saying? I have harmed no one," the genie growled. "As you sat beneath this tree and threw your date pits, one of them struck my invisible son in the chest and killed him. I have come to avenge his death. Prepare to die." The merchant trembled, unable to believe what he was hearing. "Oh, mighty genie, I swear by God I meant no harm. I didn't even know your son was near." But the genie was unmoved. "My word is final. I shall take your life now, just as you took my son's." The merchant wept and pleaded, "Please, grant me 1 year. Let me return home to settle my affairs, bid farewell to my wife and children, and distribute my wealth. I promise on my honor that I will return to this very place and submit myself to your justice." The genie paused, studying the merchant's face. Then, after a moment of silence, he said, "Very well. You have 1 year. If you do not return, I will seek you out and destroy you and everything you hold dear." With that, the genie vanished in a swirl of smoke, and the merchant, filled with sorrow and fear, set off toward home, burdened by the promise he had made. As the months passed, the merchant honored his word. He settled all his affairs, paid his debts, gave final instructions to his wife and children, and prepared them for life without him. Though his family wept and begged him not to go, he remained steadfast. At the end of the year, just as he had promised, the merchant returned to the same tree in the desert where the genie had first appeared. He sat and waited, his heart heavy but his conscience clear. As he waited, an old man approached him, leading a deer on a leash. The old man greeted the merchant kindly and asked why he looked so sorrowful in such a desolate place. The merchant explained everything: the accidental killing, the wrath of the genie, the promise, and his return to face death. The old man was astonished by the tale. "By God, your story is strange," he said. "And you came back willingly?" The merchant nodded. "I will wait here with you," said the old man. "Perhaps I can be of help." Shortly after, a second old man appeared, this one leading 2 black dogs. He too was intrigued by the merchant's sorrow and stayed to listen. Then came a third old man with a she-mule. After hearing the merchant's story, he also decided to remain. The 3 old men sat with the merchant beneath the tree, each of them curious, amazed, and full of sympathy as they awaited the arrival of the fearsome genie. As the sun reached its highest point in the sky, the earth trembled and the air thickened, signs that the genie was near. In a swirl of smoke and fire, the genie appeared, towering and fierce, eyes burning with fury. He glared at the merchant and roared, "You have returned. Now I will fulfill my oath and take your life." But before the genie could strike, the first old man stepped forward and bowed deeply. "Oh, mighty genie," he said, "I beg you, let me tell you a story, one so strange and wondrous that if you find it marvelous, will you agree to forgive 1/3 of this merchant's blood?" The genie narrowed his fiery eyes. "Speak, old man. If your story pleases me, I shall grant your request." And so the first old man began to tell his tale. The first old man began, "O mighty genie," he said, "the tale I shall tell you is unlike any you have heard before. I do not travel alone by choice, nor is the gazelle you see beside me an ordinary creature. She was once my wife." The genie, intrigued, leaned in, and the old man continued. "Years ago, I was a wealthy merchant, and after many years without a child, I married a second wife who gave me a son. But jealousy took root in the heart of my first wife. She turned to sorcery and, out of spite, transformed my son into a bull and my second wife into a cow. Not knowing the truth, I gave the cow to the herdsman and told him to slaughter it. But when he raised the knife, she wept bitterly and trembled so much that I took pity and told him to spare her. Later, I ordered the herdsman to slaughter the bull, my son. But when he did, the bull cried so sadly, the herdsman refused. I grew angry and demanded an explanation. The herdsman confessed, "Master, I have seen strange things. This bull does not act like an animal. He behaves like a sorrowful man trapped in silence." That night, I prayed, and a kind woman, a sorceress herself, visited me. When I told her what happened, she offered to help. With her magic, she discovered the truth. The bull was my son, and the cow was his mother, transformed by the wicked first wife. The sorceress reversed the spells. My son returned to his human form, and the second wife was saved. As for the first wife, I left her fate to the sorceress, who transformed her into the gazelle you see before you, the old man concluded. Now, O mighty Genie, is that not a tale worthy of sparing 1/3 of this merchant's life? The Genie, astonished by the story, nodded. Indeed, your tale is wondrous. I forgive 1/3 of the merchant's blood. Then the second old man stepped forward and said, Now, allow me to tell you my tale, and perhaps you will forgive another 1/3. The second old man began his story. O noble Genie, he said, what I shall tell you is as strange as magic itself. This two-headed greyhound you see beside me, he was once my own brother. The Genie, curious again, gestured for him to continue. Many years ago, my brother and I were merchants. We set sail together on a long voyage, sharing both risks and profits. When our ship reached a faraway island, I invested all my wealth in rare goods and returned home to sell them. My brother, however, grew envious of my success. One night, while we were sailing home, he waited until I fell asleep. Then he threw me overboard. I would have drowned if not for a piece of driftwood that carried me to the shore of an island. There, I met a kind princess who healed me, heard my tale, and offered to marry me. I agreed, and we lived in peace, until one day I spoke longingly of my homeland. She warned me, if you leave, I cannot come with you. But if you must go, beware your brother's treachery. I promised to be cautious and returned home. My brother pretended to be sorry and welcomed me warmly. But once again he betrayed me, this time by drugging me and stealing all my wealth. My wife, the princess, had sent a magical servant to watch over me. The servant saw what happened and punished my brother by transforming him into this greyhound. Ever since, he follows me as I travel, repenting his wickedness. The old man concluded. So, mighty Genie, is this not a tale strange and sorrowful enough to earn the merchant another chance at life? The Genie, deeply impressed, nodded and said, Indeed, your story is astonishing. I forgive another 1/3 of the merchant's blood. Now the third old man stepped forward and said, And now, if you allow, I shall tell you a tale even more wondrous. The third old man began his story. O powerful Genie, he said, what I am about to tell you is a tale of magic, transformation, and fate. And these 2 black dogs you see with me, they are my own brothers. The Genie, intrigued once more, motioned for him to continue. We were 3 brothers, all merchants by trade. After our father passed away, we divided his wealth equally, and each of us took to the road to make our fortune. I stayed in our homeland, growing my wealth steadily. But my brothers set off on dangerous ventures and soon lost all they had. Ashamed, they returned to me, and I welcomed them back with love. I divided my wealth once more and invited them to join me on a long trading voyage. We set out across the sea with ships full of goods. Our journey was profitable, and when we returned home, our ships were full of riches. One night, after we had docked, my brothers grew jealous once again. Blinded by envy, they attacked me as I slept, tied me up, and threw me into the sea. By the grace of fate, I survived, clinging to a piece of wood. A kind woman found me on the shore and took me to her home. But she was no ordinary woman. She was a sorceress. When she heard my story, she vowed to protect me. She found my brothers and, using her magic, transformed them into these 2 black dogs as punishment for their betrayal. Since then, they have followed me wherever I go. Each year, I visit holy places and pray for their forgiveness, hoping one day the curse will be lifted. He ended with a deep bow. O Genie, if this tale moves your heart, then surely the merchant deserves to live. The Genie was silent for a moment, then let out a great sigh. Your stories have amazed me, he said. Each one stranger than the last. I forgive the merchant completely. Let him go free. And with that, the genie vanished into the air. The merchant fell to his knees, thanking the three old men with all his heart. Then he returned home, wiser and full of gratitude for his life and for the power of storytelling.